Before the Court of Heaven, Jack Mayer's newest book, is a work of historical fiction that has received 13 book awards. It is inspired by the history of how Germany's Weimar democracy became the Third Reich, how ordinary Germans became complicit in extraordinary crimes. Before the Court of Heaven animates this history and is a cautionary tale for our time as well. Hitler's Nazi dictatorship arises as a cancer within the Weimar democracy after World War I. In 1928, the hapless Nazi Party receives only 2.6% of the vote in democratic elections, and its leader, Adolf Hitler, is considered a buffoon, a self-obsessed clown with a scattershot, impulsive style, an egomaniac, a dunderhead. Hitler promises to make Germany great again. Few take him seriously. The Great Depression changes everything. The Nazi Party gains popularity. Hitler threatens the judiciary. He demonizes the press. In 1933, Hitler is appointed chancellor, and 44% of Germans vote for the Nazi Party. The Nazi dictatorship is born. How could this have happened? Could something like this happen again? Before the Court of Heaven is based on the true story of Ernst Techow, a young fascist assassin, an early Nazi, responsible for the 1922 murder of the highest-ranking Jew in Weimar, Germany, Foreign Minister Walther Rathenau. At Ernst's trial, Rathenau's mother's letter to Ernst's mother is read aloud. She offers Ernst her unfathomable, though conditional, forgiveness, quote, if before an earthly judge he make a full and frank confession of his guilt, and before a heavenly one repent, unquote. Her letter becomes the fulcrum of his complex and harrowing redemption. Before the Court of Heaven is the story of Ernst's family during the rise of the Nazis and the accommodations they make with evil. It is a tale of suspense and the tender love story of Ernst and Lisa, childhood sweethearts and star-crossed lovers, caught up in the maelstrom of Nazi ascendency and war. George Santayana, the Spanish writer, said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." He enjoins us to recognize the echoes of painful history and do what we can to prevent its repetition. History is cyclical, but we can never anticipate how recurrences will manifest. It is our unfortunate nature to project evil onto others as if we are not somehow capable of it ourselves. In considering the history of Nazi Germany, we do so at our peril. Germany, a constitutional democracy with free elections and the rule of law, an enlightened society, the nation that brought us Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms, also brought us Hitler and the Nazis. A plurality of Germans voted for the Nazi Party. Hitler became chancellor in 1933 through legal parliamentary processes. The echoes of this history, echoes we feel today, must be understood through the filter of history. Hitler worked his will legally and took advantage of democratic Weimar's vulnerabilities. He articulated ordinary Germans' fears, their rage, their humiliation. He gave credibility to eugenic theories that reinforced German racism. In exchange, the German people, ordinary people, no different than you and me, gave Hitler the reins of a dictatorship that would carry out the Holocaust. The Holocaust began with Weimar's tragic failure, before a single Jew was murdered. This was the time to act, to resist. Civil passivity allowed the Nazis to flourish. Before the Court of Heaven is an opportunity to understand this history through the lives of ordinary Germans, as well as rising Nazi overlords. History writ large and small. If we understand this history, we don't have to repeat it. Our very lives depend on the decisions we make. We dare not choose badly, for we know the consequences. Before the Court of Heaven is an immunization against recurrence. Before the Court of Heaven is available from independent bookstores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and on Kindle, Nook, and iBook formats. Please visit www.jackmayer.net for more information about Jack Mayer's books, Before the Court of Heaven and Life in a Jar, the Rainer Sandler project.